What's up, guys? My goodness. What's up, guys? It's Twin Beams here. And before I even start, hold on. I don't think I'm saying we're dressed for the occasion. I already know the hate is going to come pouring in, but it is what it is. But let's get dressed for the occasion. Let's actually, I'm saying, get it right. All right. All right, what's up, guys? We're back. I do have a Shy jersey. I have a Shea jersey, but it's in the washer. It says All-Star jersey, so we're gonna have to do with what we got. We got the Westbrook jersey on, but that's besides the point. I don't want you guys to think that I'm biased before starting off this video. But this is a complete unbiased take by yours truly, Twin Beams. I'm back. And I just wanted to completely eliminate the rhetoric that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, for one, did not deserve MVP. For two, is going to lose the series against the San Antonio Spurs. And for three, is a foul baiter and I'm saying can't score without getting any foul calls. So, number one, I do want to start with the negatives when it comes to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not a fanboy. For one, Shea isn't really even my favorite player. My favorite player on Oklahoma City is probably, I don't know, Alex Caruso. Favor a lot more of those players. Cason Wallace is one of my favorites. Shea would really be like my fourth or fifth. I honestly like Jared McCain more than I like Shea, and that's crazy to say because he's literally our best player on our team. But one thing I do not think he deserves is the amount of hate and criticism that he is getting. And I know that that comes, and it's kind of part of the territory of being one of the best players in the NBA. You're going to receive a lot of hate. But I do think it's the entire United States against the Oklahoma City Thunder and against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And we're going to call him SGA for the rest of the video. But for one, I do want to start with the negatives. I think currently in this series, as of now, and I want to start with the San Antonio Spurs series. I'm not really going to talk about, or I want to start with the San Antonio Spurs series. Currently, Shai isn't having that good of a series. And I'm going to discuss why I think he's not having that good of a series against the San Antonio Spurs, why the San Antonio Spurs are kind of like the only teams that could really stop him. And why I think the San Antonio Spurs might take this series, even though it hurts my heart to say this, but you know, how and what they're currently doing to stop or I guess slow down Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So number one, Shai is not having a good series. Now, obviously, you can't expect a star player to have an amazing, couple of games every single night out. He's not have, one like Wemby didn't have that good of a game three, I believe. Obviously, he came back game four and showed that he is one of the best players in the NBA. But you're just not going to have a good game. And I believe the way that Spurs are playing defense on him, I mean, you can Spurs players to the ground, there's Spurs players hand checking him, playing very aggressive defense. And although I'm primarily a football fanatic, I love football a lot more than I like basketball, but I do like basketball, obviously. Um, I am type of play when it comes to playoffs, the less foul calls. But at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of these can be called and don't. And obviously, that's slowing down Shai a lot in his space that there's a lot of times where there's not the ability to get somewhere because he's getting hand checked, because he's getting shoved into other Spurs players, and then through all that commotion, he ends up turning the ball over. And I think that now the Spurs finally found the perfect way to stop him, and that is by guarding him one on one, base guarding him straight all the way into the off the inbound, and then basically Castle just fouling the shit out of him. And that's cool and all. It is what it is. I mean, as a superstar player like Shai himself, he has to figure out a way to bounce back and be able to, either fall or score it himself through the way that the other team is defending him. But at the end of the day, I don't think that obviously mitigates him or makes it to where Shai isn't a superstar player, doesn't deserve MVP or whatever not. And when looking into the stats here, obviously game one they lost. He played 51 minutes. You could tell he was exhausted. He also didn't shoot that well as he shot 7 for 23, shooting 30% from field, and he didn't shoot 2 for 7 from three. Obviously he'd be that good of a 3-point shooter, but regardless, 2 for 7 isn't that good at all. At 30% from the field kind of set the, and we all know what type of game Wemby had. I mean, he had an incredible game. And they were able to stop Shai from getting to the line. And we know that getting to the line is part of the game. Of course, casual's going to enjoy that part of the game. But at the end of the day, I do not think that Shai out here is really foul baiting for these calls. I mean, a lot of the time they are fouling him. And I believe that a lot of the calls are respectable. If you watch the games, you would know. And then two, he had one of the only good games he's had this entire series with 30 points, shooting 12-24, which is half from the field, which is what we're used to seeing from Shea. He also was able to get to the line. He was 6 from free throws. In this game in particular, I'm pretty sure that Stephon Castle had like this was game 3. Stephon Castle had 14 points with only 1 bucket. So obviously these rhetorics of the Oklahoma City Thunder being foul baiters or whatever the fuck, like it really just stemmed from absolutely nothing. I mean, when you look at the actual box scores, and I don't want to be that guy that like puts up stats and shit, but the Spurs have only won games when they're shooting above 10 to 15 more free throws than the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I don't see any Oklahoma City Thunder fans being like, oh, the Spurs are foul baiting, oh, this, and that, making all these types of excuses. I think as fans, we have to come together as a collective and be like, this is good basketball. We're seeing good basketball as these teams are kind of the antithesis of, they're kind of the opposites of, they play very alike, but at the end of the day, they're one of the only teams that can really stop one another. Because obviously, LA wasn't able to Oklahoma, they sweep them. Phoenix, obviously, they stand a chance. The Spurs kind of had, issues with Minnesota, but were able to take care of them. In Portland, they were able to take care of as well. So at the end of the day, I think that as fans, we have to come as a collective and be like, okay, we're just watching good basketball. I think on both ends, the fouling does need to stop because it's getting a little ridiculous, and there's a lot of players going down with injuries. Obviously De'Aaron he came back and then got re-injured, but he was able to come back, and I think it wasn't too much of a big deal. I know Lou Dort went down. Currently AJ Mitchell didn't play much of at all, I think game 4. J Dub re-injured a hamstring. So on both ends of the ball, and I'm aware that this is part of the game. I think on both ends of the ball, they are fouling each other a little too much. They're getting a little too handsy, and that's causing a lot of injuries that we don't want to see because this is the only conference finals. They still have the finals to get to, and it's looking like the Knicks over in the East are going to come in hot, and they're going to come in with a lot of rest as they literally are about to sweep the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they're going to have like a week of rest. And these guys are duking it out in the West. And of course, we want a good series, but at the end of the day, we want to see these guys healthy and able to compete. So I think on both ends of the ball, there is a lot of fouling going on. But back to the topic at hand, we got Shea here. So going into game, they were able to take the W. He was able to get to the line a lot more consistently as he was able to get 12 points. And there was a certain that I believe he did not deserve. And that is that 3-point shot where he literally didn't give any landing space. I forgot I think it was Stephon Castle that went to close him out. The NBA does have to do something about that. I think that these certain calls are blown out of. At the end of the day, everybody in the NBA is doing it. I mean, if you look at a singular game from Luka, if you look at a game from even the Spurs, I mean, Wemby does this when he's driving to the paint or when he's shooting a fadeaway, he'll just flare his arms around and get the foul call. And I feel like it's been an issue for a long time. The Oklahoma City Thunder are just so good, and I don't mean a dick ride, but they're so good that you literally have nothing to like hate on. So the easiest pick on is, oh, they're foul baiters. Just watch a game. They're good for a reason. They're good because their GM was able to collect a group of guys that all play together, don't have much of an ego other than I guess Shea. And even then, I mean, I think they're kind of like, in my personal non-Shea Glazer, but I do like him, obviously, as a basketball player. I believe that the NBA are telling him to play up this like villain role because this is television, right? They want people to hate on somebody. They want people to, make their own little whatever to whatnot. I mean, we got overtime posting OKC rhetoric. We got I think NBA, CBS posting anti-OKC rhetoric. So I think they're kind of playing this whole thing. But when you look at the actual basketball at hand, I mean, Shea literally had I think this is when I want to get into the reason why I think obviously he won this MVP, and again why I think he deserved this MVP. Because we talked a lot about the series at hand, and obviously, MVP is a regular, not a playoff season award or a playoff award, which for whatever reason I think a lot of NBA fans forget. But I mean, Shea literally is having an historic season. Like, we probably won't see a be this efficient and score the ball this much ever again. Obviously, if people start, modeling the game after, should see that. But at the end of the day, this dude Shea is incredibly efficient at getting the ball into the hoop and not having to rely on 3-point shots. I mean, when looking into, he's one of the league's most prolific scorers. He's averaging over 30 points a game, and even eliminating his free throw shooting, he's averaging around 24 points a game, which I think is second in the league, eliminating everybody's free throws. Um, what separated him was his efficiency, shooting around 55% from the field, which is an incredibly rare feat, right, for a high usage guard who relies heavily on isolation and perimeter play. We don't see guards create their own basket like this in isolation and in the perimeter, get to the hoop on their own, as well as rely on two pointers like fadeaway middies and shit like that, and be good at it and efficient at it and score as much as he does. Right? We don't see that. That just doesn't happen. That's why he won the MVP because he is such an anomaly, and people forget that obviously because they much rather hate on him because he's great than actually appreciate his greatness. Um, and I have not even on the defensive side of the ball. And I do believe that he benefits from having people like Cason Wallace next to him, having great defenders like Shet, obviously, in the interior. Shea himself is one of the best guard defenders in the NBA, hands down. I know he didn't get the All NBA defensive team, and it's kind of hard to remember because of how good he is at offense that he's a good defender, but he's a great defender, not a good defender. Stats back it up. Eye test backs it up. If you watch him play, you know that he's one of the better perimeter defenders and even interior. I mean, he blocked, I believe, was it Vassell? Either Champagne or Vassell. He blocked the shit out of him unless it was Brian. I'm not too sure, but I know he has like already like 2 to 3 like blocks that were crunch time at San Antonio Spurs and throughout the regular season. Same great defender. And I think that separates him from a lot of other offensive machines like Luka Doncic, like Nikola Jokic. Those dudes are great at offense. They are one of the best offensive pieces like in the NBA, hands down. They aren't that good at defense. They're not the greatest at defense. I know Luka gets a lot of flack for not being a good defender. I'd say he's kind of middle of the pack. He's not really the worst defender, but he's not the best. People like James Harden right now, who isn't playing good defense at all, and is part of the reason why the Knicks are about to sweep the Cleveland Cavaliers. Um, but SJ's played top tier defense. He consistently ranks among the league leaders in steals and block shots for a guard, providing a massive impact on both ends of the floor and contributing heavily to the OKC having an elite defensive team. OKC is just a great defensive team all around, and it's part of the reason why they won the championship last year and why they're in the position that they are this year. Now, I think that this will be tested this particular Western Conference Finals, but he is one of the clutchest performers literally in the NBA. And hands down, cannot deny his greatness and his clutchness towards the end of the stretch. Bro, I sound like I'm sick. Like, guys, I'm not a shake, but I do have to be the guy to be like, look, there's a lot of flack going on. There's a lot of people being like, oh, this, and that. He's a baiter. He doesn't deserve MVP. This, and that. This is not Steve Nash type of incident, guys. Shea is the real deal. I mean, statistically, he's literally one of the best clutch players in the league. I mean, he led the NBA in clutch points, and I guess in that particular, they were just looking at people, um, or people how they 5 points in the final 5 minutes of the game, and go ahead field goals. The most reliable closer in basketball. And we saw that come I believe game blowout, but game two we saw him come, or no. Believe I think both games obviously were close, but we saw that game two and come game three. We saw the Spurs take an early lead, and then we saw Shea calmly come back with the rest of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Obviously, the bench was a big part of the reason why they were able to come back. But at the end of the day, the main dude that's going to take the last shot is Shea, and he, more often than not, is going to knock it down. Um, and then you obviously can't forget overall team success. I mean, he's the main guy. Oklahoma become one of the in the NBA, and I think they will be for years to come. Um, he led Oklahoma City Thunder to win total and a top seed in the hyper competitive Western Conference. He's blending his individual brilliance and his winning record. He ticketed basically every traditional requirement for MVP, and I mean, the dude's got a back. He's offense. He's a great defense. He's having a historic season in efficiency, and he's doing it in I think in an ethical way. Now, Some people may disagree. It is what it is. Some people may think that other people in the NBA deserved MVP, and that's your own opinion. You get that. I'm gonna have mine. We will be reacting to some videos. I believe Mike Korzemba made a video about, I guess, Shea or the Oklahoma City Thunder ruining the NBA. That's kind of the reason why I made this. Guys, I know it's easy to fall into this trap when you look into the internet and fall into this trap of basically being a sheep in a herd, having the opinion as everybody else. You can have your own opinion, and whether that stems in the middle where you're like, well, I don't really like the way Shea plays, but I do think that the Oklahoma City Thunder deserve the wins that they have, or you can have your own opinion. Life for one isn't black and white, and two, you are your own person. So you don't have to follow the herd, do your own thing. And I'm gonna see you guys later. I love you guys, Twin Beams. Fuck y'all. Please subscribe. And yeah, we're gonna be having a lot more videos now. And I'm gonna catch y'all later. Bye.